Hey guys, today I wanted to address a scenario that I had brought up in a previous video, and that is, most of the time in this song, right now I've got one guitar track, it's panned hard to the right, and most of the time that's fitting in just fine with my mix, but I want things to sound, I want the guitar sound to be a little bit fatter, I want my overall mix to just be bigger and badder during the chorus sections where things intensify a little bit. And similarly, there's some other things happening later on in the song. If we look at our song structure, we've got a guitar solo. So I want to, and there's no vocals happening there. Really the spotlight is on the guitars during that section. So I want to make sure that that's front and center. Maybe we bring that in the middle. So the goal for today is to duplicate the guitar track. So during, and automate things, meaning that I'm going to change the settings over time so that just during the chorus sections, I've got a second guitar, a duplicate of the guitar that's panned hard left, the opposite direction of the one we currently have, to make a bigger, wider, fatter guitar sound. And also that we sort of bring things back into the middle for that guitar solo. So let's go ahead and do that. The way we do it is right-click the thing we want to duplicate, and duplicate the track. What things do I want to duplicate? I want to duplicate its playlist, its sends, group assignments is especially what I want to make sure that happens. So I'm going to add, by making sure that this is checked, it's going to get added to my guitar group, and we'll check that in just a second. So I hit OK, and now I'm going to rearrange these things because I usually like to do left then right. So my guitar duplicate is going to become guitar left, and the one that I already had there is going to become guitar right. And I'm going to leave this one the way it was all the time, just like, but then I'm going to automate some things over time. So just the left guitar comes in only during the chorus. But let's just make and confirm that this made it inside our guitar group. So highlighting the group and hitting modify just to check what's in there. And you see that those names have been changed and that it is in fact in there. So that's great, and then by default, when I duplicated this, it's going to have the exact same setting, so the same volume level, but in this case, I want to make sure that that gets panned all the way to the left instead. So I've made that change. Now again, if I just listen to the beginning of this tune, it's probably going to be a little bit more intense than I want it to be from the get-go. I want the song and the structure to have somewhere to go. So I'm just going back and forth, muting that on and off so you can hear the difference. So it's just slightly less intense. And I could, my option could be to go ahead and trim this stuff up and get rid of it. But instead of going through that process, what I'm going to do is just automate the volume. So I'm going to change my guitar left, my track view, instead of looking at waveform, which is shown right here, I'm going to click this and change it to volume. Okay, and what I can do is take this and highlight a section. So I want leading up to the chorus, I don't want it there at all. So I'm going to highlight this section, and then while I still have the Smart tool engaged here, when I highlight it, if I take my cursor above the volume keyframe line, it turns into this little flat sort of upside down bracket sort of thing, and I can just pull it down. And that's pretty sweet. And you can see the little dot that it's created right there. And if I want it to be a smooth transition into there we go. And I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to pull it down. And then I'm switching over to my grabber tool. And I'm just making a slow fade out and fade in, so it's not so abrupt when it does happen. And again, switching back for the final chorus, I want it to be there. So that's pretty much it. But here's another unique thing. During the guitar solo, I don't necessarily need two guitars. What I want is to change guitar right from being panned hard right to being right in the middle. Or maybe I'll do that with both of these things, so I have two guitar sounds reinforcing each other right in the middle. So that has nothing to do with volume. So instead, I have to change both of these. So I'm making a selection of tracks now and holding Shift and Option and changing their view to pan view. Now these lines represent panning over time. So during the guitar solo, I'm going to highlight that section. During the guitar solo, I want to make sure that both of these guys go right in the middle. So I'm going to highlight the section on one of them and put that right in the middle if I can. What I might have to do is blow these up a little bit to be able to be more accurate. There. I'll do the same thing with the guitar on the left. Let's highlight that same section, and I just held Shift to do that, and then bringing that right into the middle. And then again, I'm gonna create just a slow fade into that. So right after this last like sustained chord, I'm gonna have things sort of shift into the center, and we're gonna watch these things happen, and then slowly fade back or fade out to their different positions. So let's go ahead and look in the mix window to watch this stuff happen. First, we'll look at some of our volume changes. Alright, so here's the verse, and then we'll lead into the chorus. So I'm going to switch over to the mixer view, and what we're going to do is we're going to see this guitar left slowly rise itself up. Let's take a look.
God knows I want it to be wrong. Take you back every time you come. After a while it seems denial isn't helping cure anyone. And on. There's nothing to say that hasn't been said. Nothing to do that we.
Alright, so that's pretty cool. We can see that action happening. And then I'm also going to show you just what happens with the panning section. So let's take it right before the guitar solo. And now what we're watching are these pan knobs.
I'm falling, 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 I'm falling. There's nothing to say that hasn't been said. Nothing to do that we never did. Is this our fight? There's nothing left.
So some pretty cool stuff there that's happening, and now we don't have to control those things at all. It's going to do it for us. So we've set those, those little drifts, those rising and falling of those various things, and it's just going to happen for us. So next time we're going to be focusing on something called parallel processing, which is just going to make certain elements even stronger in our mix. And that's particularly a genre-based decision. Since this is more of like an active, heavy rock sort of thing, we're going to make that decision the next time around. So go ahead and try to do something like this with those guitars and see if you can automate some of those changes to make things a little bit more interesting. And then, if you need to go back to regular view, you've got these things highlighted, Shift Option, and then click Waveform, and we're sort of back to normal. Experiment with this and have fun. Happy mixing. See you next time.